Okay, if you can, I need you to do me a favor. Picture this. Somebody's on the side of the road. They know where they're going, but they're unfamiliar with this particular stretch of road. So there's like road signs and markers, but what do they mean for real? So they whip out their cell phone in hopes of getting their bearings on where they're going and what direction they need to go to get to the final destination. Only one problem. They don't have cell service. But that's okay, right? Because they also have an atlas in the car, right? So with that, they know how to read an atlas, right? So that way they can get where they're going, right? Peace, and blessings. What's good? This is your boy 7 Inglewood Zone right now in your zone, and this is another episode of the Blackman Show Presents Society Breakdown. And today we are talking about GPS. Do we even know where we're going? Have you ever missed a turn because GPS told you to turn after the turn? It's like, ma'am, I'm already taking this exit. Why is the bridge out? I mean, it's wild how we trust a robotic voice more than we trust our own instincts. I mean, we used to ask for directions, ask people. And now if Google Maps goes down, we act like Oregon Trail just restarted and we got to reboot the whole system. And the crazy part is the more that we rely on GPS, the less that we know where we actually are. I mean, we've outsourced our sense of direction. And the scariest part, somebody else owns the map. So with that in mind, today we're going to be asking, how did we become so reliant on GPS in the first place? What are the risks of letting technology guide us every damn where? And can we rebuild our real world sense of direction and awareness? I mean, just about anything's possible if you ain't lazy. So let me give you a little breakdown, right? GPS, Global Positioning Systems, was developed by the U.S. Department of Defense in the 1970s, and it was made available to most civilians by the 80s, but it was massively adopted around the 2000s, in the 2000s and later on. So by 2010, we had apps like Google Maps and Waze that dominated the global positioning space, and then you had Apple Maps that followed after that, but that came with its own problems, as you can see. Please pause to read if you dare. So we get this tech integration with our smartphones that come preloaded with navigation apps, GPS embedded in rideshare apps, fitness trackers, smartwatches, delivery systems, and in all that giving away of our knowledge of where and how to get there. We've basically decided, instead of filling our brains with logistics and spatial recognition, we'd rather let the machines do it, right? But where that takes us isn't necessarily a good location, because in a McGill University cognitive study, right, it was concluded that over-reliance on GPS weakens the hippocampus, which is the part of the brain that helps with spatial awareness and memory. How you gonna get anywhere or know where you are already if you don't exercise that part of the brain that allows you to know this is where you are and this is how you got here and this is how you move around? You kind of need that, right? It helps when you know where you're going. And with the advent of Garmin-like devices and smartphones, people born after 1995 often never learn how to read a map. But somehow, all y'all know who these ladies are. Therefore, if you know what kind of timing that they are on and have been on for over 20 years, then you should have some semblance of what a map is and how to use it effectively. But this has ultimately led to a cultural shift, right? So asking for directions, dead. Getting lost and figuring it out, that's ancient history. I mean, kids nowadays don't even know compass directions. News, N-E-W-S, isn't just news, kids. Like, do you even know how to put a magnetized pen into a bowl of water, on some sort of floating item in the bowl of water to help you find north? Because once you know where north is, you know where everything else is. You know that part at least, right? Sun rises in the east, sets in the west. You know that part too, right? Like, I hope you at least know these things. I mean, seriously, how do you plan on moving around in a country that you've never been to if your GPS goes out? I mean, you're just going to sit in a hotel, sit on the resort the whole time, be like, I guess I ain't going nowhere. I'm just saying. And for those of y'all who thinking that you can get America wherever you go, don't. And what are the risks of letting technology guide us everywhere? I'll say, for one thing, mental decline in navigation skills. We kind of already touched on that. But another study concluded that over-reliance on GPS leads to digital dementia, which is a loss of mental agility, memory, and spatial reasoning. A 2017 study by the University College of London found that GPS users' brains were less active in the hippocampus, the part that helps you racially, that helps you to spatially recognize, things. It was less active versus those who navigate places manually. And something else that comes as a result of relying solely on technology is misdirection and blind trust. Like, okay, I remember my first time driving to, and I'm sorry if this gets a little long-winded, but I remember my first time driving to Great America with my girlfriend of the time, right after prom. So this is right after prom in Chicago. I'm trying to go to Great America theme park, and as I'm leaving, just as I'm getting ready to go, my godmother says, well, you can actually get there quicker if you go south than you go north. And I don't know what she's talking about. I didn't look at the map to actually map it out and know, so I can know what she's talking about. I just said, oh yeah, go south and go north. We ended up driving maybe 2 hours out the way. Like, it takes maybe an hour, a little bit more to get to Great America from Chicago. It took us about 2.5 hours to get there. So yeah, I ultimately ended up going the wrong direction. Now, because I made those mistakes, I learned, oh, well, this is how you actually get there. This is what you do. And so I learned that sometimes you need to make mistakes so you can know how not to repeat them. I'll say, when you're driving with GPS all the time, you don't get a chance to make those mistakes, and you're relying solely on the knowledge that GPS has, which sometimes is great. However, not all the time, because GPS can send people into lakes, forests, or wrong cities. I mean, look, in 2023, right? A man in North Carolina drove off a collapsed bridge following GPS instructions. The app hadn't been updated for construction, so yeah, he was SOL. I mean, and Waze has routed users into dead ends, instructed users to do several U-turns on a highway, or even led them into dangerous neighborhoods with lots of gang activity. Although I wonder how you can actually prevent that last one there. You know what I'm saying? Going into gang infested areas. I'm just saying, I know a little city that would be happy to have it.
Rerouting. Head west on Howard and turn left. Now entering the GD zone. Now entering the Blackstone zone. Rerouting. You know what? Just get out of here. If you can't get out of here as quick as you can. Go!
And just like with the latest 23andMe bankruptcy that's leading to your health data possibly being spread about the dark reaches of the interwebs, your driving data is under daily surveillance. And what do you think that means? Well, it could mean that every trip that's logged, it could give a little bit more insight into your behavior data. And your behavioral data is getting harvested. And so GPS companies and apps can share that location data with advertisers, law enforcement, and third-party brokers. So that means that favorite way that you like to go to, that place that you probably shouldn't be going to, should probably be the last place that you go when you're running from the cops, because they may already be aware of your favorite place to go. Word to the wise. I mean, in 2021, the Markup reported that over 20 location data companies had collected user data via free apps and sold it to police and intelligence agencies. So believe me when I'm telling you that whenever you're signing up for a new app or service that's presented to you as free, you are the product. But with all that, can we even rebuild our real world sense of direction and awareness? And I say, absolutely. For starters, use GPS as a tool, not a crutch. I mean, view the route that you're going before you start. Like I was talking about going to the shadow gallery. Use your GPS only for familiar turns you know what I'm saying, or just to save time, but don't be heavily reliant on it like it has to be on then for the entirety of your trip. And you can practice navigating with street names and landmarks. For example, I was recently up in Detroit, right? Up there for a convention. So I was recently up there, and as I'm moving around, I initially didn't take inventory of the area of where I was, and in recognition to everywhere else, I was just like, I know this is where the convention is, so I'm at the convention, this is what I'm doing. But we still had a little bit of time to move around, go get something to eat, things like that. And when it came to doing that, I was lost. And mind you, I was driving. So driving and being lost in a city you don't know, not a good thing. So I took some time to actually look at the map of Detroit downtown. This is where we are. Okay. Oh, this is where we are. This is what it looks like. This is where the water is. This is where everything else is and all this stuff, right? So when we were trying to get somewhere, it was a whole lot easier. So, you know, I'm out there with my guys, and once we realized that we're going to a certain location, I'm like, okay, let me look at the map. Looked at the map, got that inventory of where things should be, even noted certain buildings along that I should take note of along the way. And so it helped when I understood that, okay, we need to get on Gratiot. Get on Gratiot, go northeast until you get to Russell. You know you're there because you see a big church on the left and you see a sign that says Eastern Market this way. So you turn left on Russell. When you get to Russell, turn right on Winder Street. When you turn right on Winder, you just keep going until you get to the Shadow Gallery. And that's where we went. So shout out to the Shadow Gallery. And to that end, cities, hey, that also means you have to put street signs in place so people can know where the hell they are. I mean, look, when I first moved to Kansas City, oh my goodness, I was going somewhere downtown and I parked on Walnut, the street Walnut. And I didn't know that I was on Walnut because there was no street sign to say that. And I'm like, and I'm just looking around after I parked. I'm looking around at street sign, looking at corners, and I'm seeing there are no street signs. I'm like, is this a secret? Is this just like everybody knows? Did they teach y'all in elementary school and figure everybody knows already where all the streets are, and the streets are never gonna change ever again? So, you know, if anybody else comes into this town from out of town, well, that's your fault because, you know, everyone in town already knows all the streets. Like, is that what it is? I don't know what it was, but I could not find my car for about 30 minutes after I was done doing what I was doing because I didn't know what street it was on. Thankfully, I recognized some of the landmarks and some of the things that were around it. And I'm like, okay, I do remember that. I remember that. Bet. All right, cool. Now, that was my fault. I should have wrote that down or should have had some cognitive awareness of it before I even went to do what I was going to do, especially if there was going to be alcohol involved. I digress. I knew I should have did something, but, you know, at least on the back end, I was able to figure it out to the point where I could find my vehicle. But it just took a damn long time because the street signs weren't up. So, again, cities, street signs, they're not just for show. And look, map literacy actually matters. Look, keep a paper map or an atlas. That's what I have. AAA gives them to you for free. Get you a map, get you an atlas, keep it in your car. Learn how to use it. Learn what the street and road signs mean. Know about mile markers. Why certain highways are numbered the way that they are. Here's a hint. It's to help you know where you're going and in which direction. Teach young people spatial skills. North, south, you know, all of that. Sunrise in the east. Let them, please teach your babies, because last thing you want, I mean, look, if anybody is in or around and near my age, you probably had a childhood like mine where you would be gone all day. You know what I'm saying? Once you get out of school, hop on your bike, you're gone all day till the street lights come on, then you come back. My parents never knew where I was, but I knew where I was because I knew about spatial recognition. I knew I was on the south side, so I'm on the south side. I know where on the south side I am, which direction I'm going, and I know how to get back. You have to know these things. It's like I know GPS gives us that opportunity to be lazy and to not necessarily be aware of where we are and how we're going and all that stuff, but we shouldn't always take every opportunity to be lazy just because it's given. And look, when you're walking in a city that you don't know and you have to use Google Maps, use the 3D Street View that allows you to see landmarks and other images so that way you can be spatially aware of where you're going. And lastly, turn off location tracking on apps that you don't use for navigation. You don't need to be giving away your data for free. Make them earn it, baby. So some of the takeaways from today include GPS isn't necessarily evil, but the inconvenience that it provides does come with some consequences. Relearn basic navigation even though you think you don't need it. Trust me, you do. And protect your location data and challenge over-reliance on tech that makes you dumber in the name of ease. Bottom line, don't be stupid just because you can. But I'll leave you with this, right? If your phone dies and you can't get home, the problem probably isn't the phone. It's the system that's convinced you that it's your brain. Don't be stupid for free. But with that, I'll ask y'all, have you ever been misled by GPS? I remember back in the day, MapQuest used to tell people to get to France or something like that. You had to, it would actually tell you to go to Brownsville, Texas, hop into the ocean and swim. Like it would actually say that. Early 2000s was wild. Anyway, but yeah, what's the wildest navigation fail that you've experienced? Drop that in those comments, and if you happen to get lost, just navigate over to that subscribe button, and I'm sure it's gonna take you places. And do it especially if you're tired of technology making you dependent instead of smart. But that's it for another episode of The Blackman Show Presents Society Breakdown. Y'all be safe, be smart, be good to each other, and as always, this is your boy 7. Peace. And I'm out.